Just talking musicals with you. Hello, I'm Lesley Ann Knight, and welcome to the final part of this Just Talking Musicals special with Tom Klenerman, one of the first young actors ever to play the role of Charlie Bucket in the West End production of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory back in 2013. Now, where were we? I know something that I think is a wonderful feeling. Singing with an orchestra. What was it like to sing with the orchestra the first time?
That was amazing. I think because I'd done it with a piano before, and that had been all that I'd done. And then to do it with an orchestra was incredible. I think, especially because I'd never done that before, it was my first time. Obviously, I didn't really appreciate how great the song sounded, and so it was really enjoyable to be able to really sing to my utmost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because they follow you, don't they? But you've got to be. It's so different to being with a piano, isn't it?
It's really different, yeah. And because there's just so much noise. Sound, yeah.
Are they fantastic? I mean, how long did you play? Were you in the show altogether?
About 6 months.
6 months. And
plus
you
previews about
going to school
7.
at the same time?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
Must have been a bit of a come down having to go from the theatre at the night and then to have to go back into school.
Yeah, it was a bit weird. I'd go up after school from 4, go up, do a play, and then get into the car, fall asleep before we even left the theatre, and then go home and then do it the next day.
Yeah.
So it was a bit odd, but I kind of got into a nice routine.
I suppose, and when you're doing something that's once in a lifetime for you at that point, it's just you live on the adrenaline, don't you, surely?
You do. Yeah. You do live on the adrenaline. I mean, yeah. I mean, you get very anxious. I don't think that goes away before a show.
No.
But it's always, like, rewarded by the feeling at the end of the show, when you get this amazing rush from what you've achieved.
And making people everybody
happy.
On stage as well, isn't it? Yeah. And have you got any standout moments? Anything funny that might have happened?
I almost fell down a really big hole. That was quite fun. Well, not fun, but terrifying. So there's a bit where I sit on a chair and then the chair goes backwards. Doesn't sound amazingly exciting, but it's quite nice because I can basically sleep. And then the chair goes backwards over a pit, and the pit was meant to have come up, so the floor was meant to have closed over the pit, but it hadn't. And so I was going backwards, and I knew it hadn't, and I kind of knew I was going backwards towards this pit. I didn't really know what to do, and I was quite worried. And then it stopped, but I was meant to be off stage by the end of the song, and they finished the song, and I was still just sitting in my chair on stage. And then a guy came on and lifted me up and took me off stage. So that was just a bit weird, but
So they were shouting, "Move, Tom, now!"
Yeah, and then I fell asleep in the chair once, which was pretty bad because
did you miss your cue?
Well, no, but there's this person who brings on a black thing so that no one can see me when I run off stage, and they had to slap me to wake me up because I was just so tired.
Tom, you're on stage in Covent Garden. Wake up.
That was cool, I suppose.
And what about magical moments, things that you couldn't believe that you were part of?
I mean, just every time that you walk out of that door onto the stage and there's a standing ovation or something, that is just the best feeling ever because you know you've done a good job.
Yeah.
And I think that really made it for me. The whole experience came down to those few moments where everyone's on their feet and it's just amazing. Yeah.
And you must have grown so much as a performer over that period of time without even noticing.
I mean, I hope so.
Because didn't you go on to do Royal Variety Performance?
I did, yeah. We all did.
Yeah.
We did that, and then...
And that was at the London Palladium?
That was at the London Palladium.
And was that televised?
That was, yeah. That was pretty fun. We met some cool people.
What was that like backstage?
That was strange backstage because we felt like, well, we as the small kids kind of running around while there were all these amazing performers all waiting to go on. So it was strange. I remember I stood next to Roy Williams and Ollie Murs. That was quite cool. And meeting Prince Charles. That was cool. Yeah, I got hugged by Jess Glynn. No, not Jess Glynn. Jessie J. There we go. That was it. Sorry. So yeah, I got hugged by Jessie J because she'd seen a documentary I was in. So
yes, nice. I remember that. Yeah. And that was the making of Charlie and the Chocolate
That was,
Factory.
that followed me and this other guy who had done 0 act. Well, he'd done a bit of stage acting, and I'd done none.
He played one of the other characters.
He played Augustus Gloop. Yeah.
Because there's, who is it? Augustus Gloop, Veruca Salt,
Violet Beauregard, and Mike TV.
Mike TV. Yeah, great. Yeah, so you were both.
So we both hadn't been on hadn't done professional things before. He'd done a fair bit more drama than I had, but he was just like a very funny character. And
they followed you around.
And they just followed us around. Yeah.
I'm not surprised. So you were living the life of Riley, really, weren't you? If you went on stage, you were doing the Royal Variety performance or in a television documentary.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds nice, but you forget it's very like hard work, and you put an amazing amount of effort in, and it is rewarded by those small moments.
Oh yes.
Where something incredible happens when you step out and you can see like how happy you've made people. But there's so much hard work, and it's so exhausting. But yeah.
But worth it. I mean,
it's completely worth it.
And there was something else that you did. Children in Need.
I did the Children in Need night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was everywhere that year, wasn't it? Fantastic. And of course, it's on. I mean, we're 2019 right now, and in January it opened in Australia.
Yeah, it did.
And it's been on Broadway, and so it's incredibly kept on going, even though it closed in the West End, didn't it, in 2017?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
And then it went off to Broadway, and now it's in Australia. So it's a very exciting musical that is still there.
Exactly. I mean, it was magical. It was incredible.
One final question.
Yes.
So you did all that singing. So you must have had a singing teacher as well during your career.
I did.
Yeah.
They were fairly mediocre, and then I got a better one after I come off. So, what I can remember is that I quite liked singing anyway, and I used to just like sing in my room.
Yeah.
Not anything specific, but just sing along to what was on.
Yeah.
And I quite liked it, but I didn't think I had an especially good voice. And then at the first audition, they took me aside. That was when I realised, and I think they realised that singing was one of my stronger points, and I just needed to be developed.
Yeah.
So then it was really with this MD who did the Book of Mormon that I really developed my singing and really taught me how to sing. And then I bounced around a few other singing teachers, but it was mainly about just getting me to the point where I could really project and could really like enjoy my sound. So yeah.
So anybody out there watching this interview who's at school, they love theatre, they really want to get on, what advice would you give them?
I think the main thing would be just to like be yourself, because if you try to be what you think they want, then they're never going to cast you. So just be yourself and be energetic and be enthusiastic. Stay enthusiastic and just work hard. Keep going to auditions, keep singing, keep dancing, keep acting, just for the pure thrill of it.
Yeah.
And if you keep doing that and you show real enthusiasm and you are very real, then great things will come.
Tom, what wonderful advice. Thank you so much. It's been a complete pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think it's just such a privilege to hear your memories of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which I think is completely magical. And I wish you all the best for your career in the future, because you've got this great life ahead of you. And I just want you to thank you for joining us on Just Talking
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm assuming people know what an Oompa Loompa looks like. I just don't. How do they work on the show? Are they animatronic? Are they?
Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, they're people operating.
One person operates the legs and the face, and then somebody else stands behind them and does the arms.
They're inside on stage.
Yeah.
So are they big?
They're about. Well, they're this big. However big this is to my arms.
Okay. So. Oh, okay. So they are.
So someone stands like this. Okay, this is the stage.
Yeah.
Okay, well they never do this on stage. This is one of the ways they do it. There's 4 different ways. And they do, so one person's standing like this, like that, and they're the face, and then someone stands behind them, wearing black who
Yeah.
puts their hands through the rest of the costume, and it's the arms. And then they synchronize it so that they're dancing at the same time.
Okay,
So,
so,
like-
so why can't the person doing the face do the arms as well?
Well, because he's doing the legs.
Oh, I see.
So one person's there like this.
Yeah, because their knees won't be able to do the legs properly. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
'cause
then
you can't make your knees.
One
that
of them,
small.
and then
Yeah, okay.
the next one, they've just got really big boots up to here. That one was really obvious. Anyone could have figured that out. And then the next one, they ride squirrels. Again, they're just the legs of the squirrels. That's also pretty obvious. And then the final one, they're on their knees. And the first one's the best one. And then the last one, they're on their knees.
Okay.
So why were there 4 boys cast as Charlie?
So the 4 of us who were cast kind of went in 2 pairs. So there were 2 who had blonde hair and looked quite similar, and there were 2 of us who were a bit taller and had dark hair. But then what kind of ended up was we actually went in mixed pairs. So me and Jack were a pair, and then Isaac and Louis were a pair. And the sort of idea is that you have a standby, so both of us have to turn up to the show, and then one of them does the show while the other sort of sits around pretty much for the rest of the show and doesn't do a lot. I think I doodled mainly and watched films. And so in the event that one of us is ill or can't continue on stage, the other steps in and continues the rest of the show.
And there's also laws, aren't there, about not being able people under a certain age aren't allowed to do a certain amount of acting each week. You can only do a restricted
Yeah,
amount of
exactly.
hours, can't you?
So what happens is that one of you does, or me and Jack did Thursday, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
So one of you does Thursday night and Friday night and the Saturday matinee.
Yeah.
And then the other does Saturday evening.
Yeah.
And we mainly did that. And then we did Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday as well. Because there's a Wednesday matinee, so it's the same system.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that covers everybody and makes sure that you don't wear yourselves out.
Yeah. And so one week I do Thursday, Friday and the Saturday matinee. And then the next week I'd only do Saturday night and I'd be on standby for the other 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all around the world there are going to be different boys playing.
Yeah, I think as we were moving out, there were a new group moving in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just as excited as you are.
Yes. It was awesome. Yeah.
Just talking musicals with you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Stay acting.